Welcome to Trending Faith. Tim, have another question here for you. Why doesn't God just show himself if he wants people to believe in him?
Well, I've probably asked the same question. Sometimes when we have a need or a situation where it's God, you got to show up, you got to show me you're involved, that you care about me. So if that's the case, then you'll do X, Y, Z, right? I think that's a human response. As you're asking the question, I was thinking about, when Jesus walked the earth and, show us a sign. Let's make sure that you're really from God. And, after all the miracles that he did, it seemed like they were always coming back for something supernatural and mystical versus just taking him at his word. So I think there's something in us as human beings that doubt, that are not convinced that God is actually involved sometimes, so we need more proof. God has got to show up in some miraculous way. And at times he does, but I think, at least from my vantage point, it seems to me that God has chosen to work through his people. And we often are looking for something more supernatural than we are the simple, common ways that God shows himself to others, whether it's the love and care of somebody, the gentle instruction, the way that God tends to work through human beings in personal relationships that we have with one another. And so I think God shows up more than we know, but we want it bigger, different, on our terms. And I think as a result of that, we sometimes lose how God actually does show up in our lives. I hope that gets the question.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it's helpful to draw attention to our lack of awareness of God's presence, and I love your reference to Jesus. He certainly showed people God, and they still wanted something more. Very interesting. Yeah, thanks for those answers, and thanks for joining us today.